Hello everybody. We're talking in this video about the liquid extraction. So it's a new topic, and as we usually do, we are gonna talk first about the basics of the topic, the main points that we need to be aware of, the theoretical background, and then we will move to Microsoft Excel and see how we can use Microsoft Excel as a software that can help us do the calculation easier or get more accurate results and so on. The liquid extraction is a mass transfer operation that we use to separate two components from each other, and in this case we depend on the solubility of one of the components in another component. So we use a solvent, and with the solvent is mixed with that mixture that contains the component of interest and another component, and it has high affinity to this component, so it extracts it, dissolves it, then we get the component, instead of being in a mixture with the first component, to be in a mixture with the solvent. So we see here that this is not a final stage of separation, because the product of this process is a mixture, still another mixture of the component of interest with the solvent, instead of the component with the initial mixture. So that's why we do not usually think of the liquid extraction as a first separation procedure. We usually think of distillation, because the output of distillation is usually a pure component or close to pure component, because it separates the components in one step or in one process. But here we will need another separation step to separate the solvent from the component of interest, and to recover the solvent that we want and we use, and to get the output of or the component that we are interested in as a pure component. So we usually think of this process when the distillation is not possible. And there are many reasons that makes the distillation not possible. First of them, if we have dissolved or complex inorganic substance in organic or aqueous solution. In some cases, you will have the two components that you want to separate from each other are making a complex, which means that they are kind of making a bond that is attaching them together. And in this case, it's not possible to separate them based on the difference in boiling point, because they usually behave like a single component. With respect to distillation, of course. In some cases, you have a component that is present in a small concentration. In this case, the distillation would be very difficult. As you all remember, in the distillation at the very far end of the McCabe-Thiele diagram, you have the operating and equilibrium curves very close together, and in this case you'll need a lot of stages to do the separation and to get the component that's present in very small concentrations. So distillation is not going to be economically feasible in this case. In some cases, you would have high boiling component that is present in small quantities, and in this case you need to do the distillation at very high temperature, so you can get that component in enough purity or good purity that you're looking for. If you have a heat sensitive material which is gonna decompose or break down into smaller components by heat, and in this case you need to do the distillation under high vacuum, which is very expensive to do the vacuum and to make the distillation column from a material with thick or high enough thickness that withstand this vacuum, which is gonna be very costly process or design. If you have close melting or close boiling liquids, which is not very good to do with distillation, and similarly if you have an azeotrope, which is gonna be not possible to do the separation with the distillation. So in these cases, you would find that the distillation is not going to be possible or cannot do the job, or it's gonna be very expensive. So you go to the other option, which is the liquid extraction. And the liquid extraction goes in two steps. The first step is a mixing step, so you put your solvent with the mixture that includes the solute that you're interested in, and you do the mixing well enough to enable the mass transfer to take part. And in this case, you need to make sure that the mixing is good enough so that you get most of the process. You get almost all the solute, if you can, from this liquid mixture to go to this solvent. And then you would end up with a mixture of two phases which are not actually separated here. So you need to go to or move this mixture into a separating stage. In this separation stage, you just let these two component or two phases to separate, and then you can get this top product. It doesn't necessarily need to go to the top, but it depends on the difference in densities. But the solvent with the solute is called the extract, and then the feed after getting this solute out of it, it's called a raffinate. So these are two terminal or two terms that are very, very famous in this process. We didn't talk about the solvent previously, so it's important to know how to pick a solvent because it's a very critical point in the process. The solvent needs to have some properties which are very, very essential to make the process successful. The first is that the solvent needs to be selective, meaning that it has to be able or to dissolve the solute and not the other component. Otherwise it's not going to be useful, because you have two components here and then you'll have another component that is miscible with them, so you didn't do anything useful now. So you have to make sure first that it is selective, and it is it has high affinity to this solute, meaning that it dissolves a lot of solvent or solute. Otherwise you need to use a lot of solvent, very, very big amount of solvent to dissolve the amount of solute that you're interested in. So to be economically feasible, you need to have the solvent having high affinity to the solute. One other important parameter is that the solvent needs to be it's not cheap, but it's not expensive. Expensive solvents is not good to use because you'll pay a lot of money to get this solvent, and of course you will have some losses in each run, and even after you separate these two from each other, you will need to recover the solvent, and then you need to do some makeup to compensate that loss. So getting a very expensive solvent is not sometimes will not make the process even feasible, so it's not gonna be worth it. The solvent needs to be safe to work with, so it's preferable to be not corrosive, not explosive, not flammable, as much as we can, of course. Sometimes you would be forced to use a solvent that doesn't match all these criteria, but it has to be the very critical criteria is the selectivity and the solubility, which are very, very important. And of course the solvent needs to be easily to separate from the solute, because this is very, very important as well. If these two are not easy to separate, then the process is all together is not of any use to us. You're just wasting time, and instead of having this solute soluble or dissolved in another component, you're dissolving it in a solvent and you're not able to separate them, so it's not going to be useful. So you need to make sure that these two components have very high difference in boiling points, or any other thing that would make the separation easier in the future. So let's see how the equipment that do the liquid extraction work. So one of them is the mixer settler extractors, and it's used for batch separation. You put the feed here, which is the feed mixture plus the solvent, and you put them in this tank. It's just a very normal mixing tank with an agitator with buffers to increase the turbulence and the Reynolds number, and then the mass transfer coefficient increases, then the rate of mass transfer increases, and then you get an efficient separation. And then this is followed by a separation stage that it's just an empty tank that lets the two phases separate, and then you get the extract and roughen it from here. This is a similar process. It just combines them in one place. You have here the mixer and the separator in just one tank, but it's exactly the same process with different arrangement. For steady state or continuous process, we use other equipment, which is, for instance, the extraction towers. One of them is similar to the distillation column, is straight tower, and you have the two components, one flowing from up to down through the downcomers, and the other is going through the holes of the trays, is going from down to up. And it's like distillation. The flow is going based on the difference in densities. It might be difficult to imagine, because in distillation you have liquid and gas or vapor, and in this case it's very easy to imagine that the vapor is going from down to up and the liquid is going from top to down, or from up to down. But here it's kind of not very easy to imagine. And here you would see that the mass transfer actually occurs below the tray. It's not above the tray as we do in distillation. Because of this difference in nature of the two fluids flowing in the distillation or in the separation column. One other thing is the agitated tower, and the agitated tower is simply a tower that has a lot of mixers, and you force the flow to go here, and in this large area it stays here for some time, where the agitators work and do the mixing, and the mass transfer takes place, and then it goes here down through this narrow flowing area to the second stage. And that's why it's called a calming section. You want to make sure that the fluid will take enough time, or the two liquids will take enough time in the baffles or in the agitated area, so that the mass transfer takes place. Otherwise, if these sections are not put, then the flow will go from from top to bottom and from bottom to top without having enough residence time to do the mass transfer. This is mainly the main idea of the liquid extraction. We will see in the next video how we do the calculations, and how the phase diagram is used, and which phase diagrams do we use, and how to deal with them. So I'll stop here, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.